So what are you gonna do? You're gonna go to Google Maps. URL for Google Maps is maps. Oops. .google.com, and it most likely open up your location. Does anybody has any specific area that you guys would like me to analyze? Do you guys want to give me a city? Probably a city that is one of your guys' cities. So we'll be analyzing, I guess, helping you to understand, and maybe you guys can give me feedback. How good am I analyzing your city? Because if I analyze my city, I kind of already did, so I know my city. Um, where is that? So Broomfield, Colorado. So you're gonna type in, your town, your city in, and we're gonna close that. So it's between Boulder and Thornton. I know. I actually lived in Thornton right here, so very familiar with the Thornton area. Broomfield, when I lived, it was, geez, about 12 years ago, was not much there. So, first of all, what you're going to do is you're going to print off a map, and I probably would recommend maybe printing off a couple maps. Uh, Los Angeles, it's gonna be, it's a big, Los Angeles is a big market, so very nice actually to kind of localize yourself to a small area, but starting off, hey, Pedro, welcome. We're kind of doing a training on a video where people can analyze their area through Google Maps as a place where they can start, or maybe they want to go to a neighbor city that's bigger city and they want to actually know where would be a good spot. So after you print out the area, what you want to do is you want to type in restaurant. And what it's going to do is it will give you restaurant map. Now, um, as you move through the map, you'll want to hit research this area so you can move on. And then what you want to do is sometime move in and analyze the area again to see more restaurants that's open up. And as most of us know, uh, yes. So you want to actually go and focus on restaurants instead of fast foods. So, but again, you want to see which fast foods in your area are good, and if those areas are good and they're having your food ready for your customer or the DoorDash or Uber customer, and you're just in and out, then don't ignore them if the customer pays good. But most tip will come from high-end restaurants, or maybe certain type of restaurant that is a gym in your area that people actually middle class customers are ordering from. So I would actually start marking on your app and start marking like this restaurant right here, another Oka Sushi Asian cuisine. One thing I have noticed, Chinese places usually tip quite well. So you start kind of going through the restaurants, kind of get familiar with those restaurants. If you know the area, you're probably going to know. Right there is another one, Q Barbecue Westminster. So you start marking on your app, on your map, these restaurants. And honestly, as I'm looking on the bunches here, let's search this again. I would probably fall back somewhere down this area right here. Looks like it's quite heavy. You have another restaurant here. None of these restaurants for me is our familiar names. And then what you want to go is you want to actually give a couple of weeks and see if you're getting orders from these restaurants, because some of these restaurants might not be on DoorDash's Uber Eats platforms. So you kind of see a restaurant, but it's kind of not giving you any benefit. But if you find a gym, you want to get as close to that restaurant as possible to constantly get orders. Uh, Based on my analysis and patterns, as I noticed, I seen where there's two ways how you can actually get an order from a good restaurant. One way, if you're a top dasher and you are within 10 minutes of driving distance or within 2.5 miles of the restaurant, they might be sending you in an order from the restaurant. If you're not a top dasher, you want to be as close to the restaurant tablet as you can to increase your chance of getting an offer from that restaurant. What I never said, but what I've recommended is with some of the drivers locally is trying to, when where is the tablet at, as picked up two, three, four orders, um, you kind of, get to that place, pretend like you're just, just leaning to the wall and waiting on somebody and increase your chance of actually getting that order. This will also will help you get more of those orders. I know a guy here in Lexington that he only does Cheesecake Factory. He'll park the vehicle, he'll walk to the door where the tablet is at, and he'll just sit by the door and go through the orders as they come in and pick out the order that he wants. And he does really well, and that's one of the ideas where I started looking at these concepts, and I started noticing that they work. Of course, a lot of us that want to just sit in our car, but then don't complain if you're not getting what exactly you might be looking for, because your chance might be a second or third choice after that driver that might be closer to that restaurant. Bloomfield entails West Minister, Nordland, Thornton, Commerce City. Interesting. Kim Kimbed, welcome. And you can always rejoin whenever you have a chance. That's great, Council. So, those are the possibilities. So as you kind of go through the restaurants, you learn the restaurants, then start analyzing the restaurant on the road. Start seeing what kind of offers you're getting from there. Um, there is always hidden gems. Now, I'll tell you guys a little experience I actually started off this week, what actually led to the video that I posted yesterday. On Tuesday, I pull up to Walmart, and as I pull up and I roll my window down, I park with to start, wait until I get an offer. I hear one of the drivers going at one of the Walmart employees. There's no point coming here when this guy shows up, and you guys are favoring him compared to rest of us. And I know exactly he's talking about me. Uh, and that's where I'm saying some of these systems and certain apps, they work. All you have to do is just be willing to do it, like getting the closest to the restaurant or stuff like that. So, as things advanced on Thursday, yesterday, no, Thursday, yesterday, Friday, um, it happened. I'll play the video a little bit later today for you guys kind of get more understanding. So, being by closest to the restaurant works. Now, do you want to waste time by the restaurant that might not be in a platform for DoorDash? That's why I'm saying take first couple of weeks and analyze, find that restaurant, and then when you find that two, three, four restaurants, then actually always fall back. But if you're getting a good order on your way to the restaurant from another place, never ignore it. Now I want to actually show you guys something else, and this is something that I personally created. If you guys go to any of my videos, you guys will find, let me do this. Yeah. Okay. If you guys go to any of the videos, under the video says link to a hidden tip cheat sheet. Click on that link, and you guys are going to be able to see a cheat sheet that I actually did for DoorDash. So on a first column, you guys are going to see miles. So when you when an offer comes in, you guys see miles. That will the total miles will take you guys to get to the restaurant and from restaurant to the customer, and then you guys see the offer and the restaurant that you're going to be picking up an order. So let's say if the mileage is it says 3 miles, that means the hidden tip and your base pay is 225. That means the hidden tip starts at 625. You want to also keep in mind if there's any peak pay, you need to add to this amount. So let's say there's a $2 peak pay. That means now it's not going to be 625, it's going to be 825. Now, example. Of course, in some areas, these numbers might slightly differ. So you want to actually learn your market and see how it does fluctuates. But 4 miles, let's say example, an offer comes in. Now, and you have a $2 peak pay, that means now the hidden tip will start at $9. So that means if you're having a $9 offer, there is possibility that delivery pays more than $9. But the DoorDash will most likely not show more than that $9. Let's say the delivery is 5.5 miles. Now we have a $9. If there's a peak pay of $2, that means that offer will come in at $11, and they will not show more than $11 because they're trying to hide a hidden tip. So that is how I used to when I was hunting for hidden tips. This sheet that I created, I used to go off of to see is there possibly a hidden tip on it, and then actually take orders. Now the third column is kind of give you guys an idea, which now I don't drive for DoorDash, so I'm not updating this cheat sheet, and I'm hoping that maybe somebody out there understand this concept and can actually take it and run with it and continue updating this for everybody. But if it says new, that means it was recently updated. I started putting a number like this was updated in the month of January. All these from 3 to 3.4 miles. Now we have a 4.1 and 4.2 was updated in February. These that says new, that means they were updated in the year of 2021, maybe October, November, December. Estimated means that at 4.5 miles, I have never received an offer yet that had a hidden tip. So I'm estimating that it should be somewhere around 775 where they actually would be hiding the tip. Now, until I find that and confirm it, it's going to stay estimated. Not sure exactly what 9 means here, but you guys kind of get an idea. Now, you guys do know that on stack orders, it's always going to show $12 unless there's a until there's a peak pay. So let's say there's a $1 peak pay. Now, instead of $12, it's going to show $14. So as $14, there is a possibility of hidden tip on one of those orders or on both of those orders. If there is a $2 peak pay, that means they'll show $16. So it's going to start at $16 when that's where there will be possibly a hidden tip. So by learning and at 8.6 miles, I had an offer at $14. At 8.8 miles, I had an offer at 13.25. There's a hidden tip. So as you guys can see, on hidden tips on miles, there might not be as accurate. So and as you know, here on single orders, at 10 miles, I had a 14.50 offer. At 10.3 miles, I had $16 offer, and 13 miles, the offer came in at the 17.75, which I believe it might come back at 7.75 or higher. So, does anybody have a question based on uh, Google Map and based on cheat sheet? Because I want to actually go and show you guys a little bit different, and I want to pick a little bit less of a market because it looks like Denver market is a very nice condensed market. Um, I am jealous of those of you guys that are in Denver market. It's a very nice market. Question is, how is actually the market right now in Denver? Are you guys staying busy? Are you guys having good orders coming in, or are you guys experiencing issues as other people in other markets that on the web and saying, "Hey, it's just not working out"? Anybody there, or we just lost everybody, or they fall asleep from me? Hello. So I guess what I'm going to do is let's actually go to my market since I actually familiar with my market and kind of give you guys Cincinnati Lexington right there. So what we're going to do is we're going to search the restaurant area. And I try to stay away from downtown because it's not easy to find a lot of drivers out here right now, and I don't go too far south. Um, Actually, the area that we just looked at, Suzanne, is a good area. I don't see a point going too far away from that area. Now, let's say we're going to look at the Lexington area where I dash right now. So we just pulled up and we kind of see some areas here where it would be this. So what I would do is I would actually zoom in about right there, and I would actually print this off. And then I would start marking the area. So I would actually go and start marking each area by refreshing and seeing what I see on the screen. So I see, we have a Lexington Diner. That's Hospital. Domino's Pizza, which is not on DoorDash, or at least I'm not aware of being in DoorDash. Sorry, it's just came random. VRU Burger Bar. Um, I know this one is not on DoorDash, or at least never received an offer from there. Then we have Old Charles here, which I'm not seeing fast food, so that's kind of nice. Then as we move further into this area here, I see some restaurants here. Um, Winchell's restaurant. I have never received an order from this place as well. Then you have a Fiat Mall, which if we move on, and that's why a lot of times you need to zoom in quite a bit and refresh to start seeing offers. And then look at that. There was no restaurant. Right now we have restaurants. So by zooming in, you can start seeing things that playing out. And then by the mall, can be a nice place to run with, but also a lot of times by the mall, it's a heavier traffic, more drivers, so you're competing. So you want to look for, those hidden gems. And so we have a lot of restaurants here. We have some restaurants here, as we can see. Um, Now let's refresh this area right here and see what we have here. So as we can see, we have couple restaurants here. We have some restaurants here, but most of you guys can see these are fast foods. Taco Bell, Rallies, Fazoli's, Grimmers, Papa John's, Shanghai Bistro, which I have never received an order from there. Mud Pizza did not receive. Ramsey's. Out of this area right here, Ramsey's would be the only restaurant that I would fall back if I would actually get into this area. But the problem with Ramsey's, as I then went out and I started analyzing this particular area, Ramsey's not getting a lot of orders. So because of not a lot of orders, this area wasn't just worth for me to chase. So, you kind of, want to analyze and say, okay, out of this area, I want to see how Ramsey is doing. So, spend a couple hours by Ramsey's and see how often you're getting those orders, especially in the evening. Then we have Zaxby's, Cheaters, Scratch Chicken, Waffle House, Little Caesars, and there's an actually alcohol place. Out of all this area right here, alcohol place I discovered to be the only worth place where good tips were coming in. Also, Rite Aid. There's a Rite Aid store right here in this building. So sometimes good order comes in for Rite Aid. So what I would actually do is I would park by the alcohol Reading drugstore and try to get those alcohol orders, and sometimes I'll get the CVS store orders as well. Everything else I would just decline, like Little Caesar. Uh, I never got anything good from there, so I'll just decline nonstop. Zaxby's, very rarely got a good order. So you kind of, after you analyze the map, then you're going to go to that area and work that area and see what's worth it. And after analyzing, I discovered certain things. And here's something that I'm actually going to share with you guys for my area. There's a nice row of restaurants here. So if I ever get into this area, I tried sitting in this area trying to get some of the orders from Drake's House, Wild Egg. Wild Egg actually does really good on Uber. There is another restaurant here that I'm not seeing. Let's see if we can refresh it one more time. There's I forgot the name. There's another restaurant here that is not showing up on the map. So I kind of learned and found that I can sit here. I can also sit in this area here and get something from Old Chicago or Logan Roadhouse. There was Total Wine, also sometime during the day, has good orders as well. So I went in and I kind of learned the area. I discovered which restaurants are giving me good orders. Red Robin also now was turning out to be a good one, but not as a lot of orders. Steak and Shake, sometime had from this area. All of these that I'm mentioning are good paying tip restaurants that on average they were coming in good. So same thing, after you analyze the area, you want to get to the area and start then physically seeing what's coming through. And as you pull up to those restaurants, you kind of watch and see, are you getting a lot of bad orders from those restaurants, or they're we're getting every other order is actually coming in with possible hidden tip. And then from there you kind of make decisions. Okay, from certain time of a day to a certain time of day, I'm gonna sit here. Kind of give you guys idea what I was doing lately before I started doing Spark is I would start out by Sam's Club. Here by Sam's Club, there is no restaurants, but there is a Starbucks. So I'd start out a morning with Starbucks till about 9, 10 o'clock. And sometime I would get pulled in to a Starbucks that's right here. Nope. Where am I? Right there. And pull into this Starbucks. Now, by 10 o'clock, I would pull back and start sitting in this area because at around 10 o'clock, I would start getting some orders from Bob Evans, Crackle Barrel. That was still kind of like a breakfast orders, but they were paying between 10 and 15, $20 orders. So I would just pull back into here and I would try to stay here till about 2 o'clock and, and deliver in this region. Now, from 2 o'clock, I would try to get an order that would actually take me to this area that we just analyzed and actually work this area right here. Because usually from 2 o'clock till about 4 o'clock, usually a lot of areas are experience a very slow time of not a lot of orders coming in. And for me, this area was quite busy, while here was literally just dead. So I would fall till about 4 o'clock, and then at around 4:30, I would try to get an order heading this direction. Because at this point, I would want to fall back to this area, but at that point, I was trying to get also an order that would actually pull me into Nicholasville on Grubhub. Because in the evening, Grubhub was actually paying good for me. Around orders were coming in around 15 to 25, $30 orders, and I would actually play into this area, which here I didn't analyze much area. A lot of fast food areas in Nicholasville. I'll tell you guys up front, deliver quite a bit here. Um, but with the Grubhub, I didn't really care. Was this a fast food? Was this a restaurant? As long as the order was good and I did not have to wait, I just flew with it. Just up here right now. Okay. A vacation in Mexico 4 years ago today. Love the area. Keep it up. It's Slavic. Thank you, Rico, and welcome. I don't think I said welcome to you. For some reasons, about every time I get a Pizza Hut order, people never tip. Um, you want to see is that pizza place is a DoorDash app or Pizza Hut. Sorry, the Pizza Hut is on a DoorDash app order, or this is something that Pizza Hut is using DoorDash to deliver their call-in orders, and there might be if that happening, there might be pocketing the tip, and you don't see that tip because you have to understand that DoorDash charges about seven to $9 a restaurant just a delivery fee, which we get only the 225 from out of that $7 or $9. So on top of that, then restaurant have to give a tip that customer provides. So a lot of time the restaurant will do is say, you know what, we will use that tip as a part of compensation to compensate that $7-9 delivery fee. So let's say an example, a restaurant is only willing to pay $4, and there was also a $3 tip. So now they're using that $7 instead of the $3 towards the tip. They're using that $3 towards compensating that $7 delivery fee that they're being charged by DoorDash. And that's why when we see that order coming through on our end, we only see that 225 because the tip was used to compensate for the delivery fee for DoorDash. So grand all that is the way I seen things play out here. So does and I also give you guys a little idea. For those of you who might be in Lexington, Chang's Chinese place, very nice place. Majority orders come out of this place. Our hidden tip, average average tip is around $6 to $15. So as you analyze and you find some of these hidden gems in your area, and as you deliver, you say, you know what, I'm falling back to this restaurant right now because I'm closer to this restaurant than going to my place that I preferly to go, or I'm falling to another place. So as you study your area, and again, how did I find this place? I did my studies. I played with Google Map. I learned the area. Another area that I discovered was really good, but just too far to drive, is a nice restaurant area right here. As you can see, a lot of these are fast foods here, but we had, Firehouse, nice orders coming through from Firehouse. So, I looked at this area. There's a Applebee's, Starbucks for Uber, um, A&W restaurant also were nice orders. So as I learned, I discovered that some of these restaurants are worth coming in and sitting. But then as I was doing live streams, ride-alongs, and I started noticing that some of the people, local people, as they watch me, they would actually chase me to this area. And eventually I started sharing those orders as they're coming in with other drivers. And I'm like, okay, I need to get out of here and I need to go somewhere else. So kind of, my followers chased me out of here. So that's kind of, something that I experienced. So those of you guys that don't have channels, or if you guys do have channels and don't stream areas or you're dashing from, you might be able to find those gems and keep it to yourself. Where in my situation, I kind of was dragging others into the area. Lee's Garden. A lot of times, I would actually, as I sit here, I would actually get an order from Lee's Garden, another place that orders were coming in with good hidden tips. Now, some of you might say, hey, Slavic, a fantastic area right here. Why are we not pulling in anything? We should. A lot of areas right here that are good as well. But now, I don't like the neighborhood right here. Also, the whole surrounding area right here are people with low income. And I have discovered as I delivered in this area, um, even though I had a lot of choices, a lot of offers, but majority of those offers were coming in with very rarely a hidden tip. So I would actually burn through a lot of time sitting in my car trying to get an order, but I was getting a lot of orders that were just not worth taking for me. So I just said, it's just not worth this area. So I started moving on to somewhere else. And so that's how you kind of you analyze your area, you analyze the market that you're delivering to. You want to be delivered to a middle class uh, customers, to people that actually have that extra money to spend and tip, and you want to get to those restaurants where those middle class people are ordering from. Pay to drive, thank you. I am doing better towards the end of the day as I kind of analyzed the yesterday's situation, and the opportunities and options that I have to proceed forward. So thank you. So I hope that kind of explained and help understand how to use Google Maps as a beginning spot or as a beginning place where you can learn the area, learn the possible restaurants. Man, I'm moving forward. That's not a question. Um, I had a target for this week, $1,500. If that what happened yesterday would have not happened, I probably would have been by last by yesterday night, somewhere around 1315 to $1,400, and then I would have went out today this morning and knocked out that remaining 100 or $150 and hit my target. But with everything that happened, it's just interrupted my plan. Jeff, first of all, welcome. And second, are you a top dasher or a non-top dasher? Because the answer will be different. If you could respond to that question. So, not top dasher. As a not top dasher, you want to get as close as possible to the DoorDash's tablet at the restaurant. That will increase. The closer you get, the higher your chance of receiving the most amount of orders that come out of that restaurant. Now, as a non-top dasher, you will be competing with top dashers that are about up to a mile and a half away or maximum 10 minutes of distance travel time. So those will be the only competitors to you if you are the closest to the tablet. Now, for the top dashers, uh, if the time if you're in a busy time, you will get orders from restaurants in surrounding area up to 10 minutes of travel time away or up to a mile and a half away, whichever one is more common based on DoorDash. And I have not been able to figure that exact, but which of the two they'll make the choice on the priority. As a top dasher, yes, you driving around will be a good spot. As a non-top dasher, no. What I recommend is actually getting out your car and kind of go to that restaurant outside where you know the tablet of the restaurant of the DoorDash is, and kind of lean to the wall, pretend like you're waiting for somebody or taking that smoke or something, and just pretend that you're not coming, just chilling. But really, you're trying to be the closest to the tablet to get that order. So that's what I experienced to be successful. I actually done this test in this area that I showed you guys with the as a main command. That would be wait a minute. This is the order right here. So at Applebee's. So what actually going because I had a good relationship with the people at the Applebee's. I would actually go in and actually just sit in the chair, and I would just just talk with an employee. I would tip them every 2-3 deliveries. I would give them $1 because I like to always kind of pay forward. So when I come in next time, they kind of trying to get me out quicker. So I always like to tip restaurant employees at least once every 2-3 deliveries. So I would come in and as I talk with them, I would actually really truly sit there to get the orders. And compared to as drivers would come in, I would get almost every every of those orders I would get on the screen, which I would decline, and then I would see a driver come in, and I would know that I'm getting those orders faster than the drivers are sitting in the car. So that's kind of the game that I play to learn how I can actually manipulate the system and benefit by doing something that other drivers are not aware that they can do. I'll try that tomorrow. Thanks. I try my restaurant too. Yeah, when I sit, I usually don't get orders sent to me. But with today's gas price, I can't afford to drive around. Yes, and like I mentioned it before, I'm not sure, Jeff, you were here. The idea of sitting as close as possible to the restaurant actually came from another driver that only delivers for Cheesecake Factory at the mall. So here's the mall, and so what he would do, he would actually park, find a parking, and he would leave the car. He would come in, and as a Cheesecake Factory is all this corner right here, and here's actually our drivers. We go in here the door. He would actually go on another side of the fence and lean against the wall as if he's waiting somebody coming out of the wall, out of the mall, and wait for a good order. And he would sort through orders. And he said, and according to him, he said he gets 90% of the orders going through his phone. So he has a lot of choices what to take, and he only takes what he likes. As soon as he gets that order, he just jumps the fence and he's in to pick up the order. So that's when I took that idea and I started testing that at Applebee's and a few other places. But Applebee's, I had a chance to test it literally like 3 feet away from the tablet. But again, some of things might change. DoorDash always changing things. So that those are the things that I just wanted. If you want to go back and rewatch this video after we're done, you are welcome. But analyzing your market and finding those restaurants that you kind of never thought of going, and that is a Chinese restaurant, that is high-end restaurants, um, uh, restaurants that are in a middle class or high-end class. That again, I noticed a little pattern. People are making over $100,000. Very rarely they're actually ordering. And yes, they might be a good tippers, but very rarely they actually will order from the restaurant. But middle class people, they usually order about 2 to sometimes maybe 3 times a week during dinner hour. So you have a lot better chance at a middle class area compared to a high end class on getting orders in, unless there's a certain high end class area with a high end income area that, for whatever reason, they're actually ordering a lot in, which I have not seen that in my area. In my area, PF's chain are not good, and not because of no hidden tip, because there's quite a bit of hidden tips of PF chain, but sometimes you end up waiting 15, 20 minutes. And I had a very simple rule. For every $5 that I'm getting paid, I would wait for 2.5 minutes. So let's say I get a $10 order. That means I'm only waiting for 5 minutes on that order. If I don't get that order in 5 minutes, I'm out. Um, let's say offer came in for $20, or I'm suspecting this order to be $20 based on the hidden tip chart that I actually showed you guys how to use. So those of you that have been late, definitely go back and learn and watch the video how to use the chart. And if I'm suspecting a $20 tip, then I'll wait up to 10 minutes. Of course, I have waited. I think the longest I have ever waited was 45, 47 minutes. But that's before I started building this structure, building this hidden cheat sheet, and before analyzing the market. Kind of give you guys a little history for you guys to understand. When I started DoorDashing in Denver. It's a small town. I live in Stanford, which they eventually extended DoorDash into Stanford, but none of the restaurants are still on the platform. So I started dashing in Danville, and problem with Danville You have a lot of old timers. Those guys have been dashing for year two, three, and four in the area, and it was kind of not was hard to make the money that I needed to make because I needed to earn at least $200 a day just to stay on top of the bills. And maximum I've been able to earn for the whole day in Denver is about 80, $90. Got to a point at one point where I started getting really discouraged because, a month comes and I'm borrowing more money than a credit card. Another month comes and I'm borrowing and I'm getting myself deeper and deeper into credit card debt. And that's when I got introduced to Pedro, and I spoke with Pedro. Pedro said, "Hey, why don't you check another market?" So for me, from Stanford to drive to Lexington, it's about 50 miles. So I kind of didn't want it to do that, but I'm sorry, Lexington is here. But eventually, I kind of said, you know what, I'm gonna go. So I went out and before analyzing on Google Map, I went out and I did day shift, I did evening shift, I did night shift. I I even drew the whole night a couple times, and I discovered that the earning at night was about the same as earning during the day. So what's the point keeping myself up at night if I can make the same money? And the issue with Lexington with night, very few fast food restaurants were only open, and every single one of those restaurants or the fast food places that were open, every time you got to them, it was a 15 to a 30-minute wait. So maybe you could have been busy and and doubled and tripled your money at night, but because of those waits, those nights just became worthless. So I kind of fell back to the day shift, and I started, really searching the area out. I started really searching for those areas where I can benefit. And eventually, when I gave up being as a top dasher, uh, I kind of was forced to multi-app because before being giving up as a top dasher, didn't really. I did a little multi-app there, a little multi-app there, but I didn't do it a lot. But as I gave up, I was kind of forced to multi-app, and then eventually going and looking for alternative apps, which eventually I found Spark. Can be long wait. One time I waited about half an hour. I've never driven middle of the night. 50 Thursday, 50 back. Wow, you're committed, brother. Jeff, yes. I used to be a CEO. I built multiple businesses in the back, but now I'm kind of in a position in my life where, in about May last year, my bank account was emptied out. $136,000 just evaporated. And that's when I kind of had no choice but forced overnight to go out and do something. At the time, I already was registered with Doordash because I always like to have a plan B just in case. So I registered with Doordash just at the beginning of the pandemic. So I registered. I did about 3, 4 deliveries when I one night to Nicholasville, kind of get an idea of what DoorDash is, and then I said, okay, if this would be our emergency situation. So when last May that emergency situation happened, I started running Danville area. So uh, yes, Pedro Pedro impacted my life dramatically. What's coming, comp- uh, what pertaining to the income. He pointed me, even some people would never travel 50 miles one way to Dash, but in my situation, bills are paid, got paid. I started learning and eventually converting this channel, which used to be a crypto channel, eventually converting this channel into a geek channel. So, and here's something I'll tell every single one of you: don't say that being a top dasher is the most worstest thing you can ever do, um, because There's certain benefits to that. It just has to be your choice to give it up or not give it up. Like for me personally, as a top dasher in Lexington, I could have done in about 8 to 10 hours. I could do been able to do $200 to earn $200. But when I gave up top dasher status, I had to multi-app in order to get back myself to $200. So there is that difference where I couldn't just on DoorDash alone no longer make that money. Stumbled on is he was the one that mentioned your channel, and now I'm here. Mimi, welcome, and I hope I'm providing knowledge that you guys can run with and increase your results. Um, Maybe next week we'll talk about multi-apping and things that I've learned as I multi-apped. No, only at the end of the month. So here's a trick. First of all, if you're not a top dasher, it's going to be hard to become one unless DoorDash, unless you call DoorDash around the 15th and 16th of the month and ask them to give you that 2 week top dasher status to achieve that result. Now, what do you need to do to become a top dasher and hold your top dasher every single month? Throughout the month, I would actually pick and choose the best paying deliveries that I believed that were coming in that were actually benefiting me. But when it was coming out to around the 24th, I would fall back into Danville area instead of Lexington, because in Lexington there's a lot of 225 offers coming in. So for me to take every single order to get myself acceptance rate to 71% was just not worth it. But in Danville, 225s are not as common. Usually in Danville, you're getting 325, 425, 525 orders. And delivery distance in Danville are usually a lot shorter. So I would fall back to Danville, run for about 3 days, all day long, get my rating to 71%, and then I would take that remaining 1 or 2, 3 days left as a break until the first day. And when I get that notification on my phone that I'm a top dasher again, then I'll go back to Lexington and repeat all over again. You know, decline as much as I wanted. I've been as low as 1% on acceptance rate as a top dasher at one point. So I would decline as much as I wished and take whatever it was worth for me until the end of the month, and then I will repeat again. Get my score up to 71%, get confirmation I'm a top dasher, and then re-rinse it again. Okay, I personally have never done this yet, but I hear drivers call to DoorDash and they kind of, usually when you call DoorDash, you want to have some kind of a complaint, they kind of, mistreated you or whatever. And then based on those, that complaint, you say, you know what? Okay, I'm willing to accept it the way it is because, hey, you're never going to win with DoorDash, no matter how much you complain. But and say, hey, but in return, can you help me out and give me 2 weeks of a top dasher? I've been hearing from a lot of drivers that DoorDash will even offer themselves as a compensation to give you that 2 weeks of top dasher. So calling and asking might not hurt. Again, if you don't get it from one support agent, half hour later, call in, maybe see you'll get it from another support agent. But what you want to do, you want to do that around the 15th, 16th of the month. So that 14 days that they'll give you as a top dasher will cover you towards the end of the month. So the end of the month, you can rinse it. And while those 2 weeks, you can actually experience what is a top dasher and the difference of the type of orders will be receiving. And I challenge every single person before they say, "Hey, top dasher is a bad thing." Get that 2 weeks and experience with it. After those 2 weeks, hey, you can bash top dashers as much as you want. But if you've never been a top dasher or you never took advantage of the top dasher when you were a top dasher, how can you really say the top dasher is never worth? Maybe in your situation, it is the best solution. Like right here, for people in Danville, in order for them to dash in Danville, they have to be a top dasher. Because if they're not top dasher, they're not getting on the schedule. That's why for me as a not top dasher, for me to qualify for a top dasher right now, it's almost impossible unless I'm willing to take those 225 in Lexington. Because in Danville, I cannot get on the schedule. It's just not realistic. Qualification next month. I'm going to try that next month and report back. Jeff, I encourage, but at the end of the day, it is your choice. Uh, like I said, depends on your market. Like Pedro says, it's just not worth it. I would challenge Pedro to go and get that 2 week as a top dasher status, so he can really truly compare is it worth it or not. But if you like, he has not really done it as a top dasher. He's just saying it's just not worth it. And for me, it's just kind of like, hey, can you actually do it before you bash it? But again, right now, being really market has changed. And remember, DoorDash will first prioritize top dashers before they'll prioritize you as a non-top dasher. That's why top dashers are, even in right now market, they are more busier than the non-top dashers. So you have to look at your market. You have to try it, analyze it, and then make a decision. And if you choose to be a top dasher, remember the last 4 or 5 days of the month is very crucial for you to pick up that acceptance rate to 71%. Why am I saying 71%? Because a lot of times you might see on your phone 70%, and truly it's 69%, because your app doesn't properly show the true numbers that are on DoorDash's site. The only way to see the true numbers that's on DoorDash's site is actually uninstalling the app, rebooting your phone, and then reinstalling the app, DoorDash app again, and then re-logging in. Then it will actually pull the actual true data from DoorDash. But before you uninstall the data, you want to delete cache. So you want to clear cache, pretty much clear everything, uninstall the app, reboot the phone, then reinstall the app, re-log in, then you will actually see true numbers that DoorDash has on acceptance rate. And you want to make sure that you have 70% at the midnight, I believe, a Pacific time of the end of the month. And then you want to wait and get an approval, which usually it's less than 24 hours from that midnight that you'll get a confirmation on email, I believe, as well as on your phone that you are a top dasher. Issue the challenge tomorrow in Pedro Live, maybe. Um, I definitely would love to, but first of all, I'm really bad at spelling. That's why I don't do a lot of comments unless there's something short, yes, no, hello, everyone. Things that easier for me, and I know how to spell it already. Second, the chat moves so fast that it's kind of hard to catch the pager's attention. And third, there's a lot of people on the stream, so I don't get a lot of chances to actually get on live with him and and speak as it was when the channel was smaller and there was only like 100 people attending that chat. Right now I think he got to what, about 500 people attending live stream, which great, but now you guys don't get to hear me often. But now you guys can hear me at my channel at any time. So any questions pertaining to the Google Maps or the cheat sheet?